Team 31 of 52 teams of 8 competitive rival wisdoms that help make humanity wiser and kinder with antique quotes that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. Help raise school test scores and self-confidence by giving your kids free, easy, extra advantage math, spelling, and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Team quote 31.1. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Niccolò Machiavelli 1469–1527. This incisive observation from Machiavelli, while found in his political writings, applies well beyond statecraft. Coming from the author of The Prince, it reflects his characteristic focus on efficiency and decisive action. The quote highlights several contrasts between wisdom and foolishness. The wise person recognizes inevitable necessities quickly. A fool often resists what must eventually be done. Wisdom includes timing and foresight. Foolishness often involves costly delay and denial. What makes this insight particularly powerful is that it's not about the action itself. Both the wise and foolish person ultimately do the same thing. The difference lies in timing and recognition. The wise person's advantage comes from seeing clearly what must be done, acting promptly when the need is apparent, avoiding the costs of delay, maintaining control over timing and circumstances. It's interesting that Machiavelli points out both types end up taking the same action, suggesting that wisdom isn't about having different options, but rather about recognizing and accepting necessity sooner. Have you encountered situations where you or others eventually had to do something that could have been done more advantageously earlier? Team quote 31.2. The greater the effort, the greater the glory. Pierre Corneille 1606–1684. This inspiring quote from Corneille, the great French dramatist and tragedian, captures a fundamental truth about achievement and recognition. His work often explored themes of duty, honor, and heroic achievement, making this observation particularly fitting. The wisdom here lies in the direct correlation between effort and glory. It acknowledges that meaningful achievements require substantial work. It suggests that the struggle itself enhances the value of success. It implies that shortcuts to glory are less meaningful. It recognizes that people tend to value what they've worked hard to achieve. What makes this insight particularly powerful is that it doesn't just describe success, but glory, suggesting that public recognition and personal satisfaction both grow in proportion to the effort invested. As a playwright who crafted complex works of theater, Corneille would have intimately understood this relationship between labor and achievement. The principle remains remarkably relevant today, when there's often a search for quick paths to success. Corneille reminds us that the most meaningful achievements often come through sustained effort. Do you find that your own most satisfying accomplishments tend to be those that required the greatest effort? Team quote 31.3. One loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives. Euripides 480 BC, 406 BC. This profound observation from Euripides carries particular weight coming from a playwright who deeply understood human relationships and often explored family dynamics in his tragedies. The comparison is striking not just for its numerical contrast, 1 versus 10,000, but for how it distinguishes between bonds we're born into and bonds we choose. The quote suggests several deep truths. True loyalty freely given outweighs obligatory connections. Quality of relationship matters more than quantity of relations. Chosen bonds can be stronger than inherited ones. A single deep connection can provide more support than many superficial ones. It's interesting that Euripides specifies loyal friend rather than just friend, suggesting that loyalty is the key quality that gives friendship its exceptional value. This loyalty, being freely chosen rather than inherited, has a different quality than family obligation. What makes this ancient wisdom particularly resonant is how it challenges the assumption that blood ties automatically create the strongest bonds. Instead, It elevates the value of chosen, cultivated relationships. Have you found this to be true in your own experience? That the depth of loyalty matters more than the type of relationship? Team quote 31.4. Come what may, all bad fortune is to be conquered by endurance. Virgil 70 BC, 19 BC. This powerful statement from Virgil, the Roman poet best known for the Aeneid, speaks to the fundamental human capacity to overcome adversity through persistence. His choice of conquered is particularly significant, suggesting that endurance isn't just about passive suffering, but active triumph over misfortune. The wisdom here operates on several levels. It acknowledges that bad fortune is inevitable, come what may. It positions endurance as the universal tool for overcoming hardship. It suggests that all misfortune, no matter how severe, can be overcome. It implies that victory over adversity comes through outlasting it. What makes this particularly meaningful coming from Virgil is that his epic works often dealt with themes of perseverance through tremendous difficulties, most notably Aeneas's journey to found Rome. The quote reflects a deep understanding that it's not the scale of the challenge, but the steadfastness of the response that determines the outcome. Have you found in your own experiences that endurance proves to be the decisive factor in overcoming difficulties? Team quote 31.5. Life is the farce which everyone has to perform. Arthur Rimbaud 1854–1891. This delightfully cynical observation from Rimbaud is particularly interesting coming from a poet who lived such an unconventional life himself, abandoning poetry by age 21 and becoming a merchant and explorer in Africa. The quote works with several layers of meaning. The use of farce suggests life has elements of both comedy and absurdity. Has to perform implies we're all unwitting actors in this play. It hints at the roles and pretenses we all must maintain. The universality, everyone, suggests no one escapes this condition. What makes this especially intriguing is how it differs from Shakespeare's more noble, all the world's a stage. Where Shakespeare saw drama and meaning, Rimbaud sees farce and absurdity. This reflects his more modern, existential viewpoint about the inherent absurdity of the human condition. Coming from Rimbaud, who refused to play his expected role as a traditional French poet, the quote takes on an extra dimension of ironic self-awareness. He not only recognized life as a farce, but seemed to delight in disrupting its expected performances. Do you find yourself sometimes aware of the roles you're performing in different aspects of your life? Team quote 31.6. Nothing that is morally wrong can be politically right. William E. Gladstone 1809–1898. This is a powerful assertion from Gladstone, who served as British Prime Minister 4 times during Victoria's reign. What makes this statement particularly noteworthy is that it came from someone who had to navigate the complex waters of practical politics while maintaining moral principles. The quote establishes an absolute relationship between morality and political action. It rejects the common notion that political necessity can justify moral compromise. It suggests that moral principles should be the foundation of political decisions. It implies that pragmatic political arguments cannot override ethical considerations. It challenges the idea that different rules apply to political versus personal behavior. What makes this especially interesting coming from Gladstone is that he wasn't a political outsider making idealistic pronouncements. He was a seasoned statesman who faced real-world governing challenges. His insistence on this principle despite decades of practical political experience gives it additional weight. This view stands in stark contrast to Machiavelli's more pragmatic approach to political ethics and raises important questions about governance that remain relevant today. Have you observed instances where this principle, that moral wrong cannot be politically right, has been either upheld or challenged in contemporary politics? Team quote 31.7. There is nothing permanent except change. Heraclitus 545 BC, 485 BC. This profound observation from Heraclitus is one of the most enduring paradoxes in philosophical thought. As the philosopher known for saying, "You cannot step into the same river twice," this quote further captures his understanding of the universe as being in constant flux. The wisdom operates on multiple levels. It presents a seeming contradiction, that reveals a deeper truth. It acknowledges change itself as the only constant in existence. It suggests that trying to hold on to permanence is futile. It implies that adaptation and flexibility are essential to wisdom. What makes this insight particularly powerful is how it applies across all scales of existence. In nature, through constant physical and biological processes. In society, through evolving cultures and institutions. In personal life, through growth, aging, and transformation. In knowledge, through expanding understanding and new discoveries. The irony isn't lost that this observation about impermanence has itself remained relevant for over 2 millennia, demonstrating how fundamental this truth is to human experience. Have you found this principle, that change itself is the only constant, to be true in your own experience of life? Team quote 31.8. Be slow to fall into friendship, but when thou art in, continue firm and constant. Socrates 470 BC, 399 BC. This advice from Socrates mirrors and predates Benjamin Franklin's similar wisdom about friendship, suggesting how universal and timeless these insights about human relationships are. The quote breaks friendship into 2 crucial phases. The careful entry, taking time to evaluate and develop the connection. The committed maintenance, remaining steadfast once the friendship is established. Socrates' use of continue firm and constant is particularly meaningful given his own legendary loyalty to his friends, even refusing to abandon Athens and his principles when doing so could have saved his life. He demonstrated this philosophy through his actions. What makes this wisdom especially valuable is how it balances caution with commitment. It acknowledges that while we should be discerning about who we call friend, once that bond is formed, it deserves our unwavering dedication. The archaic, thou art in, phrasing adds gravity to the statement, suggesting friendship as a serious covenant rather than a casual association. Have you found this 2-phase approach to friendship, careful initiation followed by steady commitment, to be effective in your own relationships? And if you'd like to help raise school test scores and self-confidence, you can give your kids free, easy, extra advantage math, spelling, and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free easy math wisdom workbooks with Octo-Repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free easy Alpha-Cypher coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and time videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily. So change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms, repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equality tees help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages, promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today at 52of8.com.